Well, a very warm welcome from the home address on the 13th of March 23. I can hardly remember which date it is these days. Been a busy day. Well, it was not weather for any outdoor activities, and there's only so much you can do, and well, you don't. I've managed to go. Was a whole week. Did I manage to go a whole week not going to B&M? I'm sure I did. Let me think. I can't remember, but I think I've gone a whole week without going to B&M, which is fantastic. I have had a bit of a... My socks down again, you folks, are just... Oh, excuse me a moment. My sock. Apologies. Very unusual socks these. They definitely always want to be on the floor. Anyway, what I was saying, I just decided today that things were going to be not very good outdoors. I wouldn't like to be in any of the places I've visited recently on the mountains and such inclement weather as we have today, the 13th of March here in Scotland, at least this part of Scotland. But so I'd done a OCD clean, which always makes me very happy when everything's spotless. I even cleaned Mr. Snowman's face with a damp cloth, which is very happy about it. And I've done all the bathroom and just everywhere, thoroughly. And I've also had a bit of the housekeeping on the computer. It was much required, and I'll need to do a bit more. And while I was doing stuff there, I thought, well, let's have a bit of a splurge and reload some of the ones from back in the autumn and early part of this year. I don't want to do too much of that because there's nothing more tedious than seeing an upload you've already recognised and watched before. But I thought, I'd done so many from Milan at the time, I thought there wasn't really enough scope or time for anyone to really absorb what was being said, so I loaded just one or two here and there. But I also went out yesterday to socialise. I thought to myself, I've become such a hermit over the last few months. I thought, I think I better show face in the community, otherwise people forget what I look like. And almost happened. No, not really. But it was rather quite nice because I travelled through in the low vibrational bus, and I got into town. The first person I met was one of my old friends, and I said, how are you getting on? I've not seen you for a wee while. And he says, would you like to go for coffee? And I said, well, to be honest, I said, I'm actually going out for the first drink I've had since June last year in town. Oh, really? I said, yes, I wanted to dash down for a lunchtime drink. So then I thought about it. I said, well, that's a bit off. My friend's asking me for coffee. What's wrong with that? So he did say to me, he says, I promise we'll just chat for 15 minutes. I said, well, come on then. So he was very kind, and he purchased the coffee for me. But we ended up for an hour and 15 minutes chatting, as you do. Some of that was reminiscing, some just traditional, catch-up. And then I made it to the pub, and it's always very sad when you're in the pub because there's always a mixture of good news, bad news, and sad news. And obviously I had some sad news. I won't talk about it, I won't dwell on it, but there's also some death that I hadn't known about. It was relayed to me when I was having my first drink, and I thought, this is very sad indeed. And it is very sad. But I didn't wait long. I think I said last week in one of my uploads that I don't venture to the bar like I used to, and first in the bar and last out the door, and managed to walk home. It was quite incredible, actually, to most people. They think, what on earth is he doing? How can he manage to do this? But they were all good days, but I don't want to take a chance in that terrible road to walk, especially if the weather's inclement. Although I have done it in all conditions. Coming home from the bar at all sorts of times is quite incredulous. But anyway, the weather's turned as I said it would, and I think we will have a spell of rather ghastly weather. But I did enjoy my day. It was lovely to see so many people, and it was very nice to have a bit of catch up to see on there and little chit chats with different people, and having a few lagers. I didn't entertain any spirits. Dr. GP will be very pleased to hear that I've started consuming alcohol again. He'll be thinking, wonderful. He's taking heed of what I said. Get yourself your neck into a bottle of whiskey every week or something. That's what he wants me to do, he says. But yes, on the overall chats and this one today, as I said, I've been very busy, and I'm not sure the conditions for tomorrow, whether I'll brave it to the snowy peaks or not. I've not made a decision about this yet. It depends entirely on the wind conditions of all things. It's the wind that does the damage, you see. So I'll make a decision early morning as to what I want to do. But certainly for the evening, I just want to relax. It's been a lovely day. I tell you what, though, I went to my bed last night, and I went to my bed fairly sharpish, and I didn't even bother putting on the flames, the fire yesterday. I just thought we'll just go out the door and leave things as they are. So the house was quite chilly last night, and I decided, let's not bother with putting the fire on later on. Let's just get into the bed. Well, I think it's the first time for a year, and I mean this, a first time for a year, apart from the death experience over there in June, that I actually slept non-stop in my bed for the whole duration from, at least 10 hours sleep, solid. It was wonderful. Really wonderful. In fact, I woke up and I thought, what time is it? It's dark. It can't even be 7. So I went back to sleep again. It's very unusual for me to do this. So I think my body had been rather exhausted. I think my mind had been rather exhausted as well, with so many things, particularly with up and down. And of course all the travelling and stuff that I've been doing over the last few months. I think it was nice just for the body to completely zone out and not think about anything at all. I didn't even get any energies from up and down at any point in the night, so I thought, well, that's fantastic. I think she's forgotten all about me. So that's not so bad, is it? Well. But anyway, I mean, as I say, I've so much camera chat that should be loaded onto the computer and onto YouTube, but I seem to speak more to the camera than I have the ability to actually process it and edit and sling it up for public viewing. But I think the problem is that, the problem now is there's so much, it's such a variation of stuff that people might lose their way in trying to decipher what's he on about now. But I might work my way through and maybe do a lot less fresh loads now, and maybe work my way through the backlog and see if we can get these popped on screen. I was talking just a few days ago about the the situation in regards to Saturn, which is, well, after 2.5 years in Aquarius, it's now moved into the sign of Pisces. It was did this on the 7th of March. It's quite an event, actually. I think it's bigger than most people realise, but so I don't dent in too much to the one that I had, chatted about a few nights ago. What I want to say is that, well, Saturn takes 29.5 years to go around the whole solar system, you see, and it spends normally about 2.5 to 3 years in each sign. And the strange thing is about Saturn and Pisces, well, if I told you that the sign, the birth signs, the star signs, the sun signs, which are going to be most affected by this transition of Saturn into Pisces, will be myself, Virgo, Sagittarius, Gemini, and of course Pisces itself. And the strange thing is that Pisces is my opposite sign, and so I was talking recently about the full moon, which landed in the sign of Virgo. Of course, the sun's in Pisces just now, but the moon was full in Virgo, as it was 6 months ago. The full moon would have been in Pisces, despite the sun being in Virgo. You understand me? Since we're talking about everything mirrored in the universe. Well, the strange thing is about this whole thing is the connections to the Saturn transit is quite incredulous, because my birth sign Virgo is ruled by Mercury, the planet Mercury, as is the sign of Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. So Gemini, like a Virgo subject, are great communicators, and Virgos, as you know, are great writers and stuff. You see, Virgos are great actors, they're great writers, they're great poets, they're very humorous, they're great communicators, they're great lovers. All these sort of things come under the sign of ruled by Mercury, Virgo. And but the odd thing is, because the Sagittarius has also been affected by the Saturn Pisces transit, which will take until 2026 to go its way through until it eventually slips into Aries, the sign of Aries. And anyway, I have a strong Sagittarian placement in my birth sign, because when I was born, the moon was in Sagittarius, so this is why the moon impacts me emotionally and mentally stronger than quite a lot of people, you see. And so that's these are all connected with this Pisces, the Saturn and Pisces transit. So you may have found that even from the 7th of March, there's been a sudden change in how you feel, or your mood, or what on earth is going on? There's been a lot of planets have changed positions just in the last few weeks, and there's a lot going on. But as I say, I'm not an astrologer, just have a keen interest. But one thing that does come to mind is the last time that Saturn was in Virgo. Saturn's a hard taskmaster too, but when it was in my sign, it was back in 2007 to 2010, and it's a very testing time. And but what's most extraordinary about all this stuff I'm talking about is Saturn was in the sign of Aquarius back in 1977 until about 1980. I've talked a lot about the year 1978 being excuse me, I've talked a lot about 1978 and its how important it was to me that year. Well, from 77 till 1980, it was a very, very strange time. And but the last time that Saturn was in Aquarius before the recent transition, during the period of 2020 up until now. Well, isn't it very odd that back in 2020 I met up and down? And isn't it very odd as well that the last time that this occurred in the skies was Saturn was in Aquarius back in 1993. I find it very odd indeed. And then it moved into Pisces again. So as I say, it takes 29 and a half years to do this. 29 and a half to 30 years to do so, completely, around the solar system. So I'm just wondering if these Saturn cycles are part of the karmic cycle that I mentioned just recently, just briefly. Say that Saturn generally, not always though, I have to say, but generally, wherever Saturn is when you were born, generally in the 29 and a half years it takes for it to come back round to the exact position where you were born, i.e. in the skies, during that time you will generally lose at least one or both of your grandparents. That's both sets. And by the time it comes around for the second time, not always, but generally, as a rule, you will lose both parents. So it's very unusual, the Saturn cycles. Quite fascinating too. But you will find a very different approach to everything on the planet. The situation that everybody was been under while Saturn was in Aquarius was very authoritative. It's very strange how it all come about during the lockdown time as well, and the period that everybody suffered through the lockdown. The timeline of the lockdown and all the things that were happening, for example, in Canada, all the things that were happening around the world. It was a very, stressful time for the majority. And woke culture has suddenly evaporated. You won't get any woke culture in Pisces. Woke culture belongs to the age of Aquarius, the sign of Aquarius. And it's very strange that even on our home turf, that the choices made by the First Minister and the Deputy First Minister to jack in their jobs just at the very cusp of the Aquarius, Saturn, Aquarius, Pisces transition. It's very odd indeed, isn't it? Of course, it's only speculation, isn't it?